Okay, let's get into this. Fallout Season 2, Episode 1, The Man Who Knew. This is a breakdown and a review of the episode and some few Easter eggs I found throughout watching it. Now, first of all, the title is an Easter egg because it's referring to Mr. House. Obviously, in Fallout New Vegas, we learned that he knew about the bombs before the bombs dropped, and he used the New Vegas missile system to counter those bombs. I'm pretty sure Cooper is going to figure that out next episode, but we'll get into that, okay? Now, with this opening shot, we get to see LA, the skyline. It's really beautiful and everything, but we get to see post-war more importantly. What's really cool is we get to see a Predwin-like airship flying above really high in the skies, and this probably points to that the BOS just used those schematics to make their current-day airships. And I just think that's really cool and very unique. Definitely something very Fallout, and definitely something like the BOS to repurpose technology like that and use it for their own goals. Now moving on, we get to see a bunch of civilians protesting and destroying a Mr. Handy robot. This is very lore accurate, as during this time, a lot of the civilians were rising up and destroying these robots as they were taking their jobs. This is really a big point in at least Fallout 76, where you get to see the aftermath of a lot of these protests and see riot bots being deployed, which are special versions of Mr. Gutsies and Protectrons that are meant to kill protesters or get them to stop protesting in any means. But moving on, we get to see Mr. House inside of this area. Now, a lot of people have been pointing out, who is this Mr. House that is on the TV? That is just a decoy, okay? He is not his brother or anything. I saw some theories about that. It's just a decoy. Mr. House is a really rich person, and he does not want people knowing what he truly likes, or is truly is, because he's a very powerful person. People can use that against him. He prefers no one knowing who he is, but knowing who everyone else is as like a power play. He wants to always have the better hand. Very like him. Now in this scene, he is using his new mesmetronic-like device, which is a reference to Fallout 3, the mesmetronic gun, which can hypnotize people and basically command them to do anything you want them to do. Obviously, this device is still in the testing area, as he is basically using him to beat up these goons. I would show more of this, but I'd get demonetized. Now let's move on. In the next part of the episode, we get to see Novak. Novak has been taken over by the Khans, which is very unfortunate, as I don't know where Boone is. I really like Boone. He's a really good companion in Fallout New Vegas. I really hope that we get to see that he is okay. But the Khans took over Novak. They somehow dug a pool and have rotated the dinosaur. I like the new additions of the pool. It's really weird they moved the dinosaur, but I guess I'll let it slide. It's not my choice. And what they do with the dinosaur is pretty cool. They just let Lucy just shoot people off of it. No killing blows, but yet again. This action scene was really cool and definitely a giant nod to Fallout New Vegas, and it made a lot of Fallout New Vegas fans stay and watch the show as they used the song Big Iron, had a cool gunfight, and yes, there is some changes for the show, but it doesn't really matter as they did such a terrific job with it. But this scene is all around awesome. I really like how he uses the fusion core to heal his wounds on his neck, because he's a ghoul and he can use radiation and stuff like that. After this scene ends, we get to see our first glimpse of Vegas, which triggers Cooper to have the ghoul, to have a memory flashback where the end of season 1, where he learns that his wife and Vault Tech are going to be the ones dropping the bombs to force people into the vaults to do experiments. I'm pretty sure there will be an Enclave connection in the future. Stay tuned for that, okay? But the big thing is that we get to hear a reference to Bakersfield. Bakersfield actually has a radiation vault. This could be where Cooper got his ghoulification from, just a really big out there theory, as I saw some people passing around the internet. It's a really good theory, and it definitely would work that Vault Tech would even set them up with a bad one and then take his wife and daughter to an actual good vault. I guess we'll figure that out with the more episodes. Now, during this scene, they had to stop in a residential neighborhood, and it's really cool seeing this other than Fallout 4, which is the only other time we got to see this, as we get to see a Vault Tech representative, and then we get to see how scared everyone is of the bombs, and it makes Cooper realize that he needs to step up and be the man who stops the bombs from dropping. Does it work out? No, but at least he tried. His hands are clean. Going back to present time, Vault 33's water chip is officially broken. They are trying to ration water and basically kind of save this thing. A lot of the Vault residents seem to not really care, or still seem to be in this fake reality where the world can't really hurt them. They're in a perfect little vault and nothing like that. But it seems like all the smart or well-educated individuals in the vault that are not genetics cousins of each other are trying to figure out how to fix this water chip issue. But we just get to see more of that. Both the overseers in Vault 33 and Vault 32 are worried that Norm in Vault 31, who broke into it, is going to expose their secret, that they are from pre-war, and that is the Vault experiment. It is not a control vault. We get to see Norm, and he looks like he's not doing too good, as Bud is trying to starve him out and put him in the cryopod or kill him. Bud is trying to get the upper hand in this, but he's a little Roomba robot, and Norm realizes he can rise up against them. We get to see more about that later in the episode. Now we get to go back to the Ghoul and Lucy, which they are currently still trying to find Hank, and they're following his giant power armor footsteps. Looks like it crushed a person. We later figure out that there's actually the son of the shopkeeper up ahead who sells Lucy some fleece soup. This is disgusting. Do not have fleece soup. Now, this whole conversation was a very Fallout barter, try not to kill the NPC. That's kind of annoying because they can give you somewhat good information. And the information at the end of the day is pretty basic, as they seem just to kind of follow the footsteps that just go lead straight out. After following the footsteps for a bit, they stumble across a Starlight Drive-In, which is just a reference to the in-game, as the pre-war had all these like movies that you'd watch in your cars, and we still see them nowadays with drive-in theaters. But it's pretty cool. There's not that many of them still left modern times, but it makes more sense in like a 1950s futurist setting that there's a bunch of these around, and hey, it's pretty cool. I just like it's a little nod to the games. Now, this drive-in theater is actually the location for Vault 24. Vault 24 was supposed to be in Fallout New Vegas, but is cut content, so the creators of the show obviously had free use for this, and it was already confirmed to already still be in Vegas if you looked at the map last season. Vault 24 was a communist experiment. We'll get a little bit more into that, but first we got to cover something else. Moldova and Cooper are talking pre-war prior to fully going into Vault 24. We get a little flashback scene. And she wants him to go over to Vegas on a Vault Tech representative and kill Mr. House because she believes that Mr. House, and also kind of points to at the same time, is going to be the one that drops the bombs, as he's currently building a bunch of missile silos, which from their perspective does look really sketchy that Vault-Tec needs someone to drop the bombs, and he just so happens to be building a bunch of missile silos. But obviously we'll later figure out that those missile silos are to defend himself in Vegas from the bombs dropping, as he doesn't want his little Vegas to go away. Now, obviously we get an introduction to Vault 24, and I'm just going to explain that here because it's cut up throughout the episode. Vault 24 is a communist experiment that is meant to hypnotize the American citizens and basically test out all that hypnotizing technology into believing that they're communists working against America. Obviously, the experiment goes wrong somewhere and they're all dead. Probably because the machines kind of went haywire, or because they had the mesmetronic devices on their neck, and eventually after some time, I'm guessing they do not work, but their heads are not all exploded. At the end, we do get to see one explode though. Now, we get a reference to sugar bombs. This is Lucy's nickname. It's what Hank calls her, my little sugar bomb or something along that line. We get to learn it, see as a one. We're already there. But it's just a cool kind of seeing a reference to that cereal every now and then. But it's just a little trail. Hank knows that the Ghoul and Lucy are following him, and he tries to explain that they shouldn't. This is a dangerous road, and he uses a captured settler or some random scavenger to explain that to Lucy before his head blows up, covering the Ghoul and Lucy both in blood, and you will not be seeing that because I do not want to be demonetized again. Now, during the Vault 24 scene prior to it, we get a few cuts back to the Vault, as we learn that Vault 33 is kind of going through an issue of a lot of the people are very similar in genetics, and they're actually getting dumber, and some of them are not. Basically, they're not exactly all that human because their genetic code is so similar to each other, where it's starting to become a really big issue, and they may end up leaving the Vault, which has been pointed out by teaser trailers. So, really hard way of explaining that, but their genetic code is all scrambled, as they're all mostly all cousins to each other. So, they're trying to figure that out, and I'm pretty sure the water ship isn't going to work, so they're going to end up having to leave the Vault. But moving on, we get to see Norm release all the Vault 31 residents. He rises up to Bud, kicks his little syringe out of the way, and by the end of the episode, he clicks on the button that frees them all. It was really cool, and definitely cannot wait to see where that ends up, as I'm pretty sure they're all going to go to Vegas, as, I don't know, we'll figure out next scene. Hank opens up a giant Vault Tech executive office. This is really cool. We get to see him put on an awesome suit, see a bunch of messages, have a really cool song playing. And just as a side note, all the new songs they added in for this episode are outstanding and definitely fit the Fallout vibe, and I was a very big fan of each and every one of them. But during the scene, we get to see Hank put on a golden Pip-Boy. This is a reference to the Pip-Boy 2 billion, one of the best looking Pip-Boy devices in all of the Wasteland, and definitely one with a lot of drip, okay? But moving on, Hank is trying to finish up the Vault Tech mesmetronic device that Mr. House was using. I'm pretty sure he's using a radio system to try to communicate to Mr. House. That's my bet, but it could also be to the Enclave, but my bet's mainly on Mr. House. If I'm gonna put my money on anything, it's definitely that. He's trying to finish Mr. House's device and make Mr. House thankful for him. Obviously, something's gonna go wrong. Hank's gonna die, or something along the line where Mr. House is gonna basically get control of that mesmetronic device. because the house always wins. Now, the mesmetronic device, Hank's probably going to be kidnapping people from the wasteland and finishing the experiment, as it looks like that executive office pre-war was trying to finish that work. Somehow Hank, or part of Vault-Tec, has been acquired by Mr. House, and he is using it to finish up that piece of technology that he really wants to be done, because Mr. House wants to control people. He wants to always know what's happening or what he can do, what's all his options. But that's pretty much where the episode ends off. Sadly, we did not get to see any Maximus this episode, but we'll get a bunch of him during the second episode, that's supposed to be at least the start of the BOS Civil War. So we'll see more about that. Maybe we get an introduction to the NCR and the Legion next episode. We'll have to wait till next week. What did you guys think of the episode? Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns? If there's any way I can improve these videos, I will make them a little faster. I'm not going to be releasing it like on a Saturday before, like a few days before the next episode. I had a lot of family events this week. Not to say I won't have next week because it's Christmas, but I'll be trying my best to release this at least on a Friday or the day after the show drops. So I'll try my best. Thank you guys so much. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching.